In August 1983, something shifted for the British band Depeche Mode. Their third album, Construction Time Again, was more than simply the next step after their early success. It was the moment the band began moving beyond bright synthpop and towards something darker, more ambitious and more experimental. Before we get into the album itself, it helps to understand where the band were at this moment. You know when you put on Construction Time Again, and within a minute you can just feel that something has shifted, that the band are not simply writing another batch of bright synth pop tunes, but actually stepping into something bigger. That is always how it feels to me. The first two albums had charm and hooks and that youthful sparkle. But in August 1983, when this one arrived, it sounded like Depeche Mode had decided to grow up a little, without losing their sense of excitement. Across the whole album, the lyrics shift outward, and it is important to say that Martin Gore wrote the lyrics and most of the music. Even though Alan Wilder contributed musically and wrote 2 tracks, Gore remained the main lyricist and songwriter. What changes here is not the writer, but the focus. Instead of mostly internal emotion and romantic tension, Gore starts looking at society, power, greed, and environmental anxiety. Everything Counts tackles capitalism in simple, direct language. The landscape is changing reflects ecological concern. You can sense Gore observing the world around him and filtering it through pop form. And then there is Alan Wilder. This is the first album where he is fully part of the band, not just helping out on tour. I honestly think you can hear the difference almost immediately. He had formal musical training, he understood arrangement deeply, and he was fascinated by how sounds were placed inside a track. He was not just adding synth lines, he was shaping the structure. The songs feel constructed, almost architectural, with layers carefully fitted together rather than simply stacked. That shift inside the band was mirrored by what was happening in the studio, how the record was made. It was produced by Daniel Miller, with Gareth Jones engineering, and that combination really matters. Jones had worked closely with John Foxx, so he was already comfortable in more experimental electronic territory. Miller, as the head of Mute Records, always encouraged artists to push themselves. So the studio was not just about polishing songs. It became a space to experiment, to ask what else could be done with sound. What happens if we build rhythm from metal? How far can we stretch these machines? I also find it interesting that they recorded at John Foxx's garden studio and mixed at Hansa Studios in West Berlin. There is something symbolic about that. Berlin in the early 80s was a city defined by division and concrete and tension. Whether consciously or not, that atmosphere seeps into the sound. The album feels physical. You can almost picture steel and stone in the reverb. All of that experimentation began shaping a sound that was very different from the band's earlier records. When you listen to the percussion on this album, it is heavier and more deliberate. The sampled metal hits and industrial clatter are not there for effect, they are part of the backbone. And that is where Wilder's influence becomes crucial. He had the patience to sit with sounds, to tweak them, to decide where they should sit in the mix so that the melody still shines through. That balance between weight and clarity becomes one of Depeche Mode's defining strengths in the years that follow. Take Everything Counts. On the surface, it is catchy, almost playful with that music box melody and sing-along chorus. But underneath it is incredibly precise. The scrape at the start, the pounding beat, the layered vocals. It all feels carefully thought through. It sounds effortless, but it is anything but. That ability to combine something metallic and tough with something warm and melodic is really born here. And this is where the album's importance really becomes clear. What this album means for their future is huge. Without construction time again, you do not get the fully realized confidence of some great reward. You do not get the dramatic sweep of Black Celebration. This is where they learn that darker textures will not alienate their audience if the songs are strong. It is where they realize they can be bold and still write choruses people will shout back at them. It also sets the internal tone for the next decade. From here on, Alan Wilder becomes central to the studio process. He raises the bar in terms of detail and ambition. The band start thinking in terms of sound worlds rather than just songs. That mindset carries them all the way to their late 80s peak. So, when I listen to Construction Time again, I do not just hear a third album. I hear the foundation being laid. I hear Martin Gore expanding his lyrical themes, Alan Wilder tightening the musical architecture, and Daniel Miller and Gareth Jones giving them the space to experiment. It feels like the moment where they stop chasing a direction and start carving out their own. And that to me is where the new Depeche Mode story truly begins.